something about the human breath passing through a carved bit of wood by ancient design that just keeps you honest. It's such an earthy, natural, human sound. And whilst this instrument is generally considered to be a very soft and delicate part of maybe a Baroque quartet or ensemble of recorders, you can really push the envelope. You can really drive some insane, crazy, beautiful textures, which is what we've done here. We've just piled this instrument absolutely full of so many esoteric, interesting, overblown, flutter tongue techniques and trills and grace notes, and there's still the kind of bread and butter to the instrument, though even that sounds quite unique and special and specific to this library. But there's also just this wealth of texture and quality. Within the instrument itself is, of course, this main patch where the 23 core articulations lie. Then we have a rhythm patch as well, which we'll get into later, but ultimately is a set of live recorded rhythms that extend to multiple tempo as well. The same rhythm, but performed live for those given tempos, meaning that you're not just getting a kind of slowed down or speeded up version of that rhythm, but rather actually an entirely new live performed rhythm. And then you can mix and match. You could put a bar or even a beat or 2 beats of a particular rhythm and then juxtapose that with another one. You could stack them in kind of chord harmonies. Sky's the limit there. It's really beautiful. Let's get back to the main patch though and check out the instrument. So let's head over to key switching, as we always do, and just go through these kind of individually. So looking at the main interface, you can see that it's effectively our overlay threshold functionality at the fore, again, of course. Then there are additional buttons for every articulation, and they do different things. So on the longs and the marcatos, you have vib and non-vib options. If both are selected, as with the buttons in our libraries that have these sorts of things on offer, they are split by velocity. So vibrato in this case would be below 65 in velocity and non-vib will be above 65 in velocity. If you have only one selected, then the entire velocity range will be that particular sound. I would suggest using the vibrato because it just sounds the most natural and beautiful. And again, all of this is live performed. None of this is built in the box after the fact, of course. So you get this beautiful long note that starts off with non-vib and just develops slowly over time like a real player would. Just beautiful. And those long notes are held for really quite a long time and they develop for quite a while. Okay, so Mikato's up next. So these are slightly shorter notes in comparison to the longs. These have still the same kind of journey. They still head through that live vibrato. They're just shorter, so they have more kind of character and nuance to them in the short term. Arguably better for kind of phrases because no one's really holding these big long kind of 12-second notes constantly. The Mikatos are probably more suited to just basic general phrasing. Beautiful. If we turn off true legato here, then we can start hearing how this functions as kind of a harmony development device as well. Really beautiful. Okay, let's head on to double tongues. So they're now getting into variations where we have long and short variations of the same articulation. Again, this is all live performed, so it's not been kind of cut up after the fact. We have a long version with that beautiful story to tell. And then we have a short version. So beautiful. We're starting to get into the character and the nuance of this quite experimental library. Again, if we have both on, we'll get both variations. the fly, which is very powerful and useful. On to triple tongues. Let's turn all of these on and then we can hear the variations. Triple tongues. Very cool. Quad tongues. These are again getting into a more esoteric kind of experimental environment. So cool. Okay, onto the flutter tongues. We have long versions. And short. So cool. Right, now we're going to head into the overblowing. This is where we start to really find the character of this library. So that's kind of the beautiful core of the instrument, and now we're really starting to get into the wild west of the instrument. Let's take a listen to the longs in isolation so I can play nice and hard and really dig into this. And then the short variation. Super explosive and just crazy chaos. It's beautiful. Single overblows. Here's the longs. So we're getting one kind of overblown, harmonic, heavy explosion of sound, and then heading into a nice dynamic vibrato long. Really, really lovely. Let's head to the short versions of that same thing. Very cool. Great for kind of introducing kind of percussive textures in the middle of a phrase perhaps, or just to add extra texture to your work. Double overblows. So now we're going to get a kind of secondary attack, almost like a sforzato crescendo. Very cool. And then a short version of that. Beautiful. Really, really cool. Onto staccato. So again, these are kind of, they have notes with body. There's a length to them, but they're just a lot shorter than the staccato and the longs. Really lovely, really beautiful for making those kind of punchy phrases that are a little bit faster. Now spiccato, this is our super short note. Awesome. Grace. Now these are scale linked. So the grace, the turns and the trills are all scale linked. Let's move this to like C major, for example. Now this is a grace up to the note that you're pressing. So in the key of C major, for instance, if I press a C, I'll get a B to a C. So I'll get a semitone. Beautiful. Nice performed ending there as well. And if I press an E, I'll get a D to an E. And of course, such is the nature of the scale link mode. If I play a chord, I'll get this kind of adaptive thing. If I play a C, E, and a G, just a C major triad, I'll get a B moving to a C, a D moving to an E, and an F moving to a G. Instantly responsive to what you're doing, super, super powerful. You can, of course, override this with just all semitones, all whole tones, or any key of your choice, as well as the temporal overrides here that allow you to switch between semitones and whole tones on the fly. Turns, this is now up from the triggered pitch and back down. I love those. They're so warming and comforting. Trills, same deal here, up from the triggered pitch down to the note that you're actually playing. And these go on a nice performance. These go on a journey and an arc. Oh, really lovely. Let's have a listen to some chords. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so if we take a look at the interface, it's our kind of standard Insanity Samples interface that we see on pretty much all of our instruments now. Have our overlay threshold functionality here where we have some built-in performance modes, or you can entirely build your own. It is entirely up to you, and then just save yourself a new snapshot and you've got all the performance modes you could possibly want. We of course have our key switching mode as well for those that still want to use that method and move through them singularly, one at a time. We have our entire legato functionality here, plenty of videos on how this functions, but ultimately once engaged, you'll get a monophonic one note at a time with a fast and slow transition, with the fast in this case basically being a re-tongued note and the slow being a more slurred kind of definite legato transition. On the mixer page, we get access to the legato volume transition itself, as well as the 3 mics in the room. So you've got a condenser and a ribbon that are close, and then a room mic as well. And then the mechanical sounds. Now, we can do something here where if we go into overlaying, turn off the longs, and now we have no sounds that will play. Now we'll hear just the mechanical sounds. And this is the sound of the hole being covered by the finger, being stopped, or the key being pressed, depending on the instrument's default setting for how the note works. Which is super useful, again, from a percussive perspective. Super, super cool. So you've got access to that as well. It's almost like an additional articulation. It's like the 24th hidden articulation in a way. Then we have our effects with our stereo, delay, and reverb, and a series of convolutions on offer as usual. And then finally an EQ if you do want to get into the sculpting of the sound in the box as well. Okay, let's head over to our rhythm patch. So here we have, like we say, 7 kind of finite rhythms that can be used in infinite ways. We can stack these into individual beats and bars, and we can start them on the second beat or the end of one and create an entirely new rhythm pattern of our own. If we change tempo, the engine will change adaptively with you in your DAW. No need to do any programming or any switching of yourself there in terms of tempos. And they were performed live at various tempos, meaning that you will get a whole new performance that is tailored to that style of tempo within kind of 20 BPM of the core recording. And you'll get something that fits the style at that slower tempo that bit better. Let's go through in key switching just so we can hear each individual rhythm. So we have these kind of like straight 8s rhythm here. Very cool. And as you can see, that's nice and easy to do even when playing live chords. But if you get into your piano roll and you draw in those MIDI notes and you have them start bang on the exact same beat and you quantize it and all the rest, you're really going to get this snapping smart to your project. Let's head on to the second rhythm. Very, very cool. Third rhythm. Fourth rhythm. I really love that particular rhythm because you can hear that kind of flutter tongue burst in the middle of the phrase, and because it's all live performed, it just feels so natural and real. It's just a real performance of someone actually doing this, kind of like a steady, aggressive, percussive element, and then this flutter tongue explosion. It's really beautiful. Very, very cool, that one. Now we're getting into a couple of kind of claves. We get a 3-2 clave and then a 2-3 clave. And finally, rhythm 7. Very, very cool. Now, if we go into performance mode, we can, of course, now switch between them absolutely freely. As you can see, that even in that very short, brief moment there, I was able to switch completely between all these different rhythmic groups, create my own rhythmic pattern as I went, and effectively come up with an entirely new rhythmic pattern of my own, based on the fundamental building blocks of some of these really stable rhythms. Now, if I was to change the tempo of my project to something slower or faster, let's go down to, say, 90 BPM on my project. All those rhythms will now adjust to that tempo from the 120 I was at to the 90 I'm at now. But not only will they change, the actual performances themselves change. These are live recorded performances that will now match your tempo and not have any audio artifacts, but rather actually just evolve into this new tempo because it was performed at it. You get so much more character and nuance down on those slower tempos because there's more time to play with. So we could be more kind of stretching and nuanced with how the phrasing worked. So again, it isn't just a slowing down of the original tempo. It is an actual full re-recording of that rhythm at that tempo to make it feel like it belongs at that tempo. Okay, that's been an in-depth look at the Bass Blockflote experimental bass recorder. An absolute gem of a library and just really so unique within the landscape. Head to insanitysamples.com for more information and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.